Welcome back to Paranormal Debunked, and today I will be making another rebuttal to free statement about Christianity being Africa first before Europe. I made a video previously calling out a discussion with Renomon Curry, and the video is linked in the description. Freeze responded to my video by making a tweet on Twitter and by posting a retweet on Instagram that saying that Christianity was in Ethiopia as early as chapter 8 of Acts of Apostles, and not chapter 11 that actually stated that disciples were first called Christians in Antioch. First, the passage freeze mentioned in the Bible never happened, because you see, angels are not real. But I will be coming back to that later. I'm giving you the reasons why the passage actually never happened. It's not historically accurate. I want to be using the Bible, I want to be using history to debunk these claims, because I have long since realized that when you are discussing with Christians, history is like a loop they jump through, and reality is optional, and you can't actually debate using real historic facts. But what I know they can't argue with is the Bible, and I will be using the Bible again to actually debunk this claim. Free's argument is that it was written in ascending order, and descending order. Like the things happens in ascending, like descending order, like from the beginning to the first thing that actually happened to the end, And I want to actually ask if this is a standard rule you use and you apply to the Bible, or just something you actually cherry pick, or a law you pull out of your heart that applies to wherever you want it to apply to. First, I want to actually mention the part of the Bible that actually debunks that claim, Now let's look at the birth of Jesus Christ. The birth of Jesus Christ in Luke chapter 2, verse 22, where Jesus was taken to a temple immediately after his birth, and was taken to be circumcised for following the Jewish law of the law of Moses. It is written in Luke chapter 2, verse 22, and in the book of Matthew, when Jesus Christ was told to actually move flee from Herod and run to Egypt. This is how it goes. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 13, an angel of the Lord approached Joseph with baby Jesus in his hand, and actually said that Joseph should actually flee to Egypt because Herod is actually trying to kill Jesus Christ. And there in the book of Matthew, they stayed in Egypt for 3 years until Herod died. They stayed in Egypt for 3 years until Herod died. Now let's look at chapter 22, verse 22, where Jesus was taken to a temple immediately after his birth, and was circumcised and returned to Nazareth immediately. Immediately after the purification of 30 days purification of Mary according to the law of Moses, they went back to Nazareth. So I want us to actually overlook the contradiction in that part of the Bible later. The timeline doesn't work. Which actually happened first? Look at the book of Luke and its distance to the book of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, Jesus Christ was taken to Egypt immediately after he was born. And in the book of Luke, he stayed he returned to Nazareth 3 months later, which actually happened first. My point is that this rule is not a rule that actually applies to all of the Bible. It is just a rule. The rule Freeze is actually citing is just a rule you pull out of your heart and apply whatever you need to apply it. And again, there is a lot of contention with the book of Acts. The book of Acts was supposedly written by Luke, but that is actually a lie too. Luke never wrote the book of Acts, and the evidence itself is in the Bible. I don't use the historical facts to debunk religious claims. I use the Bible to debunk it. It is a waste of time when you're using historical facts to debunk religious claims. They'll be jumping through hoops. But if you bring out the part of the Bible that is saying otherwise, they will be ready to listen. So in the book of Acts, out of Apostles, the book was written in the third person. The book was written in the third person, like not me, not like we went to in the second person. It was written in the third person. Most of it anyway, it was written in the third person, but some other part of the Bible actually used the first person, by a man who was supposed to be a witness to the events. And in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verse 10, chapter 16, verse 10 to 14, 17, same thing in 20, same thing in 21, same thing in chapter 1, verse 28 to 26. But here is a contradiction in the book of Acts. In the book of Galatians, Paul tries to convince Gentile readers that it would be a great mistake to keep the Jewish law. Like being circumcised, which we still do here in Nigeria, it is a Jewish law. That it is like the death of Jesus Christ was never enough. And he stresses that this message came directly from God. And he again stresses that after his vision that converted him, he didn't go to Jerusalem, and he went straight into Arabia and to Damascus, and didn't go to Jerusalem for another 3 years. He went into Arabia and then to Damascus, which is in direct contradiction with what the book of Acts actually said. In the book of Galatians, like I said the other time, he met only two people, Peter and James. James, the brother of Jesus Christ. But in the book of Acts, after Paul's conversion, in the book of Acts, he went straight to Jerusalem and spent time with all of the apostles. I will be putting that on the screen. He spent time with all of the apostles in the book of Acts of Apostles, and went immediately to Jerusalem immediately after his conversion. But in the book of Galatians, which Paul actually wrote himself, it is one of the original letters in the Bible. He said that Christians shouldn't keep the Jewish law, like Gentiles shouldn't keep the Jewish law, and that he went to Damascus and didn't go to Jerusalem for another 3 years. So which one is it? Which one is right between what Paul says about himself and what Act of Apostles actually says about himself? These are direct contradictions because the author of the book of Act of Apostles didn't actually witness anything. He was writing stories, combined stories with stories that you never witnessed, with stories of angels that are not true. Angels that are not real. And I will put in the weighed angels on the screen. Weighed angels, real angels. My point is that the book of Acts of Apostles is not historically accurate, and you can't actually rely it on it or based on anything. You can't actually take the literal surface meaning and say this is exactly what actually happened. Christianity never got to Ethiopia until the 4th century. I think it was Egypt was the first country to be Christianized. Then Ethiopia to the 4th century, and the Act of Apostles, the book Freeze actually cited, chapter 8 verse 27, said that a man came from Ethiopia to Jerusalem to worship. What is this an argument for? That's the funniest thing. What is this an argument for? That Christianity was in Ethiopia. How is this an argument for that Christianity was in Ethiopia? If he came to where did he get the idea from? Even if they were worshiping Christian God in Ethiopia as early as the 1st century, which is not true, as early as 4th century, where did they get the idea from? Where did they get the idea from? Christianity originated in relationship with Israel and then to ultimately to Rome, to Italy, to Rome, and to the rest of the world. Where did the Ethiopians get the idea from? Like, they are worshipping a god that they've never heard of, that have never been worshipped in Jerusalem or I don't know. I seriously do not know. I think this is actually a conversation about self-esteem, like about self-esteem. This is not a conversation about truth or what actually happened. It's a conversation about self-esteem, about how I actually feel about myself, About I think Nigerians, Nigerians generally are quickly and very quickly defining who they are on the hatred of another tribe. I'll be coming to that soon, like just subscribe on my channel. You have this full explanation of why I think this is about a responsive argument. It's not like an argument for truth. It's a responsive argument. whatever they were worshiping in Ethiopia, it came from somewhere. Where did it come from? It came from Europe. It came from the Middle East and Europe. It was never in Africa first. You know, it's just as simple as, you know, anything, you know. And there's a video I actually debunked about Daddy Free's conversation with Renomo Kerry, and they were saying that Yoruba people were caused. Yoruba people are caused, you know, like we are a descendant of a cursed lineage. And this is just because they want to relate Yoruba history, you know. They do not buy into evolution and natural selection. And they want to relate how Yoruba people actually, how they came to be, that they came from Europe and we are who we are. I don't think, I don't actually know the logic behind that. I'm very ashamed to actually say it. I do not actually understand what they're actually saying. I know, like, I'm actually ashamed. That's the object. I'm actually ashamed to actually say this is actually true. But whatever they were saying is actually on. And something for you guys, you know, I'll be having a chat with a pastor, a reverend father, a Catholic father, on, you know, an atheist and a pastor. It will be a live discussion. We'll be sitting down and actually having this discussion at the ending of next month. I and this pastor, Reverend Father Oloma. It will be a chat between an atheist and a Christian, and I'm investigating voodoo claims. I'm actually investigating juju, and I'm actually visiting this priest, and actually debunking their claims, like examining what they actually believe, what they actually. And the video is on if only for patrons, because I don't want to cast, you know. If I post my investigation publicly, it will trend, it will go viral, and everything I'm actually trying to achieve won't be able to work anymore. I won't be able to visit all of these voodoo priests and expose their claims and or, you know, finish slash juju isn't real, you know, juju isn't real. And so about Daddy Freeze and Ronald Mocker, I think Daddy Freeze should actually, you know, he actually watched this. He watched my last video. I think he should actually distance himself from Ronald Mocker. You know, Ronald Mocker is actually a master of the Bible force. He's full of shite. I hope one day we can actually sit down together and actually have a conversation all online, you know, about his claim that Nigerians, Yoruba people are a descendant of a slave ancestors, a slave ancestor meant to be subservient and meant to be a slave. The video is in the description. That was what Renomo Kri in the discussion with Daddy Freeze actually said. You know, and I'm really ashamed to actually debunk the claim, even to actually hear someone from Nigeria actually saying the same claim and actually saying some other pure rubbish about getting obedient being in Africa and all of those nonsense. Yeah. So join my Patreon and support my this investigation into voodoo claims. You know, it's really super duper. It's going. I'm scared to shit, but going interestingly well. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, give me a subscription if you watch it to the very end.